Time to finish up this project and take on the jaws. Originally what I was going to do is just replace these with angle iron, but I decided not to do that. What I have here is just a two pieces of 1/4 inch by 4 inch by about 12 inches long pieces of steel, and what I'm going to do is just bolt them to the existing jaws. That way you don't have to mess with trying to line up any of the bolt holes, and these are a little bit more rigid than, well, surprisingly a little bit more rigid than just a plain piece of angle iron would be without these braces or anything. So I think that's the plan. Plus they'll be able to be removable, and the only angle iron I could get around here locally without ordering it was only about 2.5 inches. These are full 4 inches, so if I put any kind of plate in there, I have a bit more of a clamping surface to it. So I have some layout die on there now. I'm going to measure a 1/4 inch or so away from the blade to the end of this jaw and scribe it out so I can lay out my pattern. I want that distance away from the blade so that if I ever want to cut an angle, I have the clearance for this to be able to swing. Now, the one thing I did notice, because I cut the end of these even on the saw, this pivot right there, which, let's see if I get this pivot right here, this side is actually higher than this side, meaning that I'm tilted slightly that way. So that means that when I come down here, there is actually vertically about over this 4 inches that I cut this plate, about a 32nd of an inch of difference between the top and the bottom. As you saw in the 3/4 inch piece, it really didn't make a difference, and honestly I don't really see myself cutting anything much bigger than 4 inches, and anything that comes out of this is going to be faced in the lathe. So I don't see it as a huge issue, but I mean, it can be fixed by trying to straighten out those holes. I'm not even going to go through that. Like I said, for the amount of money I paid for this, if that's the only issue that I have with it, really, besides making a couple of these modifications, then I mean, what the hell, I'm happy. So let me scribe these out, lay out my pattern for my screws, and then head over to the drill press. Alright, I got everything laid out. This is for the larger jaw. I got 3 holes in it. I also marked where those little reinforcement ribs were, here, here, and here, so that we don't interfere with that. The other smaller jaw is only going to have 2 holes in it, so I'm going to center drill this, and I'll get going on drilling the rest. I'm going to be using 1/4 inch screws, so it's going to drill a clearance hole for those. And there you go, they're all center drilled. Let me just change over to my other bit, drill those straight through. Alright, got my 1/4 inch bit all set up in there. just got to countersink those to take the screw head. A little bit more. There we go. We're nice and flush with the surface here. We'll do the rest to the another one. Alright, I have it temporarily clamped to the jaws. This is a small one. This is just a piece of shim stock just to make sure I have enough clearance underneath it so to go in and out smoothly. And all I'm going to do is transfer punch that. There you go. That's a little transfer punched. I'm going to do the same thing with the other one, and we'll take it over to the drill press again. Back over at the drill. The only issue with drilling this is you have these reinforcement ribs here, so there's no real positive way to get this thing level to be able to drill these holes real well. So I'm going to use these little curves as a ramp in my vise to get it straight, because I have nothing really to clamp to. So if I just sit that in there, now you can see as I tighten the vise here, it'll start tilting itself up, because this is acting like a ramp on the jaws, and it fits perfectly in my vise. So if I just take my little square and square this right up with the jaws here, I should have a perfectly straight hole. That's pretty good there. Now, let me get in here to center drill. I just moved it a little bit with my finger. Let me just double check my squareness. Still looks pretty good. Switch over to my 1/4-inch bit. straight through. Still pretty square. And there we go. I can do the same with the larger jaw. But that one, I'm going to be able to actually clamp in these jaws at certain points, because those reinforcement ribs are wider spaced apart. Everything's all in there, just temporarily. Now I want to make my jack screw, which is just going to be a piece of 1/2 inch threaded rod. I'm going to cut this down. It's not going to be this long. It's probably going to be like about 6 inches long. So I want to put it right about here, and halfway in between this, in between here and here, still puts me on the jaws of the original vice jaw. So that way there, it gives me something to press up against really nicely. And then what I'm going to drill a clearance hole for this 1/2 inch rod. Obviously this is too small to be able to tap it, but what I have is just the regular nuts, and I'm going to MIG weld it right into there. Now my welder is in my garage, which has crappy lighting, and this camera really doesn't like the bright arc at all. All you'll see is a little bright spot and then a black screen. So I'm not going to attempt to try to videotape that, but we'll get that done in off camera. I'll bring it back and I'll show you what it looks like. And I'm probably also will instead of trying to make a handle, I'll take a nut, screw it onto the end, weld it to my threaded rod, and I might or might not drill a hole through it on the flat and stick a small piece of probably will fit that, maybe 1/8 inch or so, just to make a little handle that I can turn. But yeah, let me get on that and I'll come back and show you what that looks like when it's done, and we'll do the final fit up, and we should be completely done with this project. Alrighty, even with my laughable welding skills, I already know I suck at it, I was able to weld the nut on there and get it to stay. Not pretty, but hell, it holds. And like I said, I'm not a welder. I don't pretend to be. The only reason why I have a welder is because I inherited it from work when we shut down one of our offices in Philadelphia. The only thing I have, that's the victim right there, which is pretty much it's 120 volt Harry the Homeowner Special, which I've probably used a handful of times, but just another skill to learn eventually. Alright, so now it's just the final fit up here. I have the nut welded to the threaded rod there. So that was out of frame. I'm looking at everything backwards. So we bolt all these down here. there you go. That's it. Now there's the jack screw there on the end. You can see that little cap. That's just a push nut I put on there, so that way there I don't dig into the other metal plate. If I ever wanted to put a full regular round piece in here without the jack screw, this will pop right off. It's your full piece in there. And also I have it all set up so you can see how this would hit the jaw if I have that big of a piece in there. I can remove these jaws very easily and still have it set up to be able to hold a piece to clear those rollers if need be. And that's pretty much it. So let's take a quick walk around. Now, I know the lighting's a little crappy over here, but we got a chewed up, tightened blade. We got a chewed up wheel. We have our nice new knurled hand wheel for the top. I'm going to throw a washer in the bottom of that. We're in line here. We have our new set of jaws with the jack screw and my amazingly awesome weld. God, that looks horrible. I really gotta learn how to weld. Chip pan to be able to brush all our stuff right into a bucket. One thing I did do off camera is I did open this up. I did change the gear oil in there. That's got what is this? Stay Lube? Yeah. Stay Lube 140 weight CL4 gear oil, I believe. That's what I had. I had it in my garage. It's been sitting there forever. But the oil is yellow metal safe. You want to be sure you use a oil that's safe for brass and bronze, because there is a brass worm gear in there. And here's our other hand wheel. So that little project's done. We improved our saw. Like I said, the only issue that I still have is when this comes down. I don't know if you'll be able to tell with the blade. It does ride about a 32nd of an inch over this 4 inches. It's about a 32nd of an inch wider at the top. In other words, it's angled this way slightly, but that's just because of that bar itself. This here is tilted. I can stick my whole index finger underneath this one here, and I can't on this one. I can only get up to the end of my nail. This one I can get up over my first nail. So that's something I'm not going to mess with. All in all, for the money and the little improvements made, quite a good saw. I can't really complain. I wasn't expecting much when I bought it, and now it's better than when I bought it. And I did order a new camera, so that's going to be coming in next week. So we'll have some HD videos, and probably the first couple of videos I'll be getting on there is going to be cleaning up that bad boy and showing you what kind of oil to use, where the oil goes, and probably some bearing adjustment on the headstock of this, because I have to do that anyway. So might as well make a video when I do it. So thank you guys for watching, and thank you guys for subscribing to my channel. I really do appreciate it, and I love the support you guys are giving, and the comments too are great. And see you guys in the next video.